There is a tree that quietly violates everything modern nutrition teaches. It grows protein faster than livestock. It produces edible leaves year-round. It thrives where soil is poor, water is scarce, and heat is extreme. And once planted, it feeds families for decades. This is not a laboratory invention. It is not genetically modified. It does not require fertilizer or irrigation systems. It is Moringa, a tree so nutritionally dense that doctors initially dismissed the data as an error. Gram for gram, Moringa leaf powder contains more protein than eggs, more iron than spinach, more calcium than milk, more vitamin A than carrots, and unlike supplements, this nutrition grows directly from sunlight and soil. The leaves can be eaten fresh, cooked like spinach, or dried and powdered without losing most of their nutrients. This made Moringa uniquely valuable long before refrigeration or modern storage existed. For thousands of years, Moringa was treated as a living pharmacy. Ancient Ayurvedic texts described it as the tree that never fails. In parts of Africa and India, it was planted not for profit, but for survival. Villages placed Moringa near homes so women and children could harvest leaves daily without tools or labor-intensive farming. Modern science rediscovered it by accident. During famine studies in the 20th century, researchers noticed something strange. Communities with access to Moringa showed fewer signs of malnutrition, even when calorie intake was low. Protein deficiency, the hardest to solve nutritionally, was noticeably reduced. Children maintained muscle mass, mothers recovered faster after childbirth. A tree producing usable protein every 30 to 40 days defied agricultural logic. And that's when medicine started paying attention, not because Moringa was exotic, but because it worked where everything else failed.
Protein usually comes at a cost. Meat requires land, water, time, and feed. Legumes require seasons. Grains require processing. Moringa required none of it. This alone made nutritionists suspicious because most miracle foods collapse under controlled testing. Fresh Moringa leaves contain around 25 to 30% protein by dry weight, comparable to soybeans. But unlike soy, Moringa does not disrupt hormones. Unlike meat, it does not inflame the cardiovascular system. Unlike protein powders, it comes packaged with fiber, antioxidants, enzymes, and trace minerals in natural balance. Clinical studies began showing unexpected results. Patients consuming Moringa regularly showed improved blood sugar control, reduced inflammation markers, and better iron absorption without supplementation. In regions with high anemia rates, hemoglobin levels rose naturally after weeks of leaf consumption. Doctors were cautious. Anything that sounds too good usually is. But Moringa kept passing tests. No toxicity appeared, even with long-term intake. No accumulation in organs. No dependency. Its amino acid profile is nearly complete. All essential amino acids are present, including lysine and methionine, which are often missing in plant foods. This alone places it in rare company among plants. Even more surprising, the bioavailability is high. The body actually absorbs it rather than passing it through unused. In malnutrition clinics, Moringa leaf powder restored muscle mass in children faster than standard fortified foods. In elderly patients, it slowed muscle wasting. In diabetics, it stabilized glucose spikes. This wasn't hype, it was measurable. This wasn't just nutrition, it was metabolic support, delivered by a tree.
Moringa's secret is not speed, it's regeneration. Unlike annual crops, Moringa is perennial. When leaves are harvested, the tree responds by producing more, not next season, within weeks. In warm climates, it can be harvested 8 to 10 times per year, and heavy pruning actually increases leaf density. The leaves regrow using stored solar energy and deep mineral reserves. Moringa roots penetrate poor soils and pull nutrients unavailable to shallow crops. This allows it to grow where corn, wheat, and soy simply fail. Nitrogen efficiency is high, and photosynthesis remains active even under heat stress that would shut down most food plants. This makes moringa one of the most efficient protein converters on Earth. Sunlight to leaf tissue to digestible protein, protein to human muscle. No animal intermediary required, no feed cycle, no waste loss. That efficiency threatens established systems. Livestock protein requires grain. Grain requires fertilizer. Fertilizer requires industry. Industry requires capital and control. Moringa bypasses all of it. This is why it never became a monoculture crop. It doesn't fit industrial agriculture. Leaves bruise easily. They don't ship well. They don't store long without local processing. They must be eaten fresh or dried near where they grow, which makes moringa perfect for households and villages and deeply inconvenient for global supply chains.
Traditional medicine never forgot moringa. Ayurveda lists it as anti-inflammatory, antimicrobial, and blood cleansing. African folk medicine used it for anemia, wound healing, and milk production in nursing mothers. In Southeast Asia, it was given to recovering patients because it restored strength without stressing digestion. These traditions were not symbolic or spiritual metaphors. They were based on observation over generations. Modern research confirmed much of this. Moringa contains powerful antioxidants like quercetin and chlorogenic acid, which reduce oxidative stress at the cellular level. Oxidative stress is now recognized as a root driver behind cardiovascular disease, neurodegeneration, autoimmune disorders, and accelerated aging. Regular moringa intake has been shown to reduce inflammatory markers such as CRP and TNF-alpha, even without changes in lifestyle or medication. Seed extracts purify water by binding impurities and bacteria, a property now studied for emergency water treatment and disaster relief. Leaf compounds support liver detoxification pathways, increasing glutathione activity and reducing fat accumulation in the liver. In animal models, moringa slowed cognitive decline and protected neurons under chemical stress. These effects were not dramatic miracle cures, but consistent, cumulative improvements, the kind medicine struggles to monetize. What disturbed clinicians most was not what moringa did, but how gently it did it. There were no sharp spikes, no forced biochemical reactions. The plant worked through nourishment, restoring deficiencies the body had adapted to tolerate. Iron absorption improved not by flooding the system, but by repairing gut health. Blood sugar stabilized not by suppressing glucose, but by improving insulin sensitivity. This is why moringa never fit pharmaceutical pathways. You cannot isolate one compound and discard the rest without losing the effect. Its power comes from synergy, not dominance. Medicine is trained to intervene. Moringa simply supports and waits. In a healthcare system built around crisis response, a food that prevents decline quietly is almost invisible.
If moringa is so powerful, why isn't it everywhere? Because it grows best where profit models fail. You can't patent it. You can't monopolize it. You can't engineer dependency around it. Once planted, moringa produces leaves for 20 to 30 years with minimal care. It does not require seasonal seed purchases, chemical fertilizers, or proprietary inputs. A single household tree can replace multiple dietary supplements indefinitely. From an industrial perspective, this is a dead end. There is no recurring revenue, no centralized processing advantage, no logistical dominance. Fresh moringa degrades quickly after harvest, which means value stays local. Drying and powdering can extend shelf life, but that process is best done at community scale, not factory scale. Moringa empowers households,
not corporations. It shifts protein production away from feedlots, monoculture fields, and global shipping routes. It replaces scarcity with resilience. In regions facing climate instability, this is precisely what systems fear: decentralization. Historically, crops that increase self-sufficiency without oversight are labeled primitive, invasive, or unsuitable for modern diets. Moringa has quietly received all three labels, not because it fails, but because it succeeds without permission. Yet its return is inevitable. As drought expands, as fertilizer costs rise, as supply chains fracture, Moringa becomes obvious again. It thrives in heat that kills spinach. It tolerates poor soils that corn cannot. It regrows after storms, pests, and neglect. It offers protein, minerals, and medicinal support from the same leaves. Garden Lore Vault exists to preserve this kind of knowledge, not as nostalgia, but as preparation. Moringa is not a trend. It is a reminder that food systems once worked with biology instead of against it. The tree does not demand attention. It does not advertise. It simply grows and feeds whoever notices. In a future defined by uncertainty, the most valuable foods will not be engineered. They will be remembered.